Chapter 23. Duke got a text from Scout a few minutes after the ballroom doors closed. He'd been trying to pay attention to the panel, the sound of it anyway, when she interrupted him. He pulled his phone out and read, "Text me if Panzer or Garth leave the ballroom." "Why?" "Because." Duke rolled his eyes. "Will do." Suddenly, one of the doors opened, and a giant walked out, heading for the escalator. "Panzer?" Duke blurted out. Panzer turned to him. "Yeah, bud?" Can I ask you something?" "I'm in a hurry." He started down the escalator. "This is important," Duke said. Panzer headed back up and walked in place, looking over the rail. "Go ahead." He sounded irritated. "How much do you bench?" Duke asked the first question that popped into his head. Panzer raised an eyebrow. "That's your important question?" "Yeah, I'm trying to get buffer and was just wondering. You seem fit." "I bench a lot." "Fair enough." Panzer turned around and started down again. Duke ran to the escalator. "Wait, I have another question." "I have to go," Panzer yelled up. "Where's Dante?" Panzer turned around and started walking upward again. "I don't know. Why are you asking me?" "Because you were the last one to see him, right?" "Was I?" Panzer grinned. Yeah. He went looking for you after you left our room suddenly." "He was really upset about what he saw in the bathroom," Panzer said. "He wanted to go home." Duke chuckled. "Without his clothes and car keys?" Duke asked skeptically. "I don't know where he is," Panzer said. "I'm not his caretaker, bud." "You do like him, though, right?" Panzer smiled. "He's pretty cool." The smile vanished. But it wasn't meant to be. Then he turned around and jogged down the escalator. Duke quickly sent a text to Scout. Scout and Taylor walked through the room, looking at everything that was in plain sight without touching anything. There were suitcases on the beds with clothes scattered about. "What are we looking for?" Taylor asked. "I'm just wondering what to tell the police when they arrest us." "They won't arrest us," Scout said, gently poking through Panzer's underwear. "Because we won't get caught. Also, we're looking for some clue as to why these guys are really here." "Do you really think they're here to hurt that producer lady?" "To be honest, I'm surprised August Dickerson isn't the one wanting to hurt her. She ruined his career when she fired him from the show. But yeah, I think Garth wants to hurt her." "You have no evidence to back that up, Scout." "I know. After Cody died, though, I checked out that bathroom. I honestly thought his body fell from the ceiling. And then you told me about Garth climbing through the ceiling to get into the ballroom after I got that suspicion. It can't be a coincidence. I think he and Panzer killed Cody and then hid his body up there so no one would find out before the panel. The panel that Cassandra Fairchild just happens to be attending." Taylor shook her head. "And how does the costumed guy fit into this?" "The costumed guy?" At first, Scout didn't know what she was talking about. And then it came to her. "The one dressed like the zombie? Maybe he has nothing to do with anything." "And maybe Garth and Panzer have nothing to do with anything either." "Seriously, Taylor, just marry Garth already and have a dozen babies." "Fuck you, Scout." Scout groaned. "Not now, damn it." "Not now what?" "You throwing your little hissy fits. We don't have time." "My hissy fits? You started it this time." Scout was about to reply when her phone suddenly vibrated in her pocket. She pulled it out and read Duke's text. "Shit! Panzer's coming. Let's go." She and Taylor headed for the door when she suddenly heard something coming from the closed bathroom. "What is that?" she asked. "What is what?" Taylor said, looking around nervously. "I hear something." She headed for the bathroom and opened the door. "Holy shit! Dante?" She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Dante was lying in the tub, his hands and feet tied behind him. She ran over to the tub and snatched the tape off his mouth. "Panzer did this," he said immediately. "He's fucking crazy. He killed Cody. I caught him hiding the body in the Rigelia wing." "I knew it!" Scout yelled as she tried to untie him. "Didn't I tell you, Taylor?" There was no response. Scout turned toward the door and saw Panzer holding Taylor in a bear hug. Taylor's face was red, her mouth open. "No one move," he said, "or I'll crush this cute little girl." "Ladies and gentlemen," a woman said on the ballroom stage, "it's my pleasure to introduce, for her first ever visit, Cassandra Fairchild." The crowd exploded in applause. Garth clapped sarcastically as the woman made her way to her seat at the long table, waving at the audience. She was dressed in a blue skirt with a matching blazer, looking very professional. Her white hair was done up in a bun again. Garth hated the sight of her. He pulled his phone out and opened the countdown app. There was a detonation button as well, in case he needed to blow the bomb manually. Other people joined Cassandra on the stage, people Garth recognized as high-profile producers. Garth still had no idea why they were all here. Their secret project would be announced soon. Garth almost found himself curious as to what these people had in mind. Whatever it was, however, it would do no good. He still planned to kill Fairchild. Scout couldn't move. Taylor appeared to be in danger of being crushed at any moment. Scout would never forgive herself if something happened to her friend. "You won't kill her," Dante said from the tub. "Shut up, Dante," Scout said heatedly. "He's right," Panzer said. "I won't kill her directly, unless I have to." He suddenly threw Taylor across the room, where she landed on the other side of the bed. She'd flown through the air like a rag doll. Scout cringed at the sound of her landing. Before Scout could move, however, Panzer pulled something from his blue Speedos. "Don't move," he said. "This detonator will activate a bomb in the ballroom if you don't do what I say." "A bomb?" Scout asked, her throat growing tight. "Yes, things are about to get a little crazy." Panzer walked into the bathroom, ducking slightly under the door frame. "I'm sorry you guys got caught up in this little act of revenge, but there's nothing I can do about it." "What now?" Scout asked. "You," Panzer said, pointing to her, "will come with me. Dante and the little one stay here." He replaced the tape over Dante's mouth, and then grabbed Scout's arm in his large hand. He held the detonator high in the other. "We're going downstairs. If you draw attention to us, I'll blow that bomb." "You're all probably wondering why we're here," Cassandra said from her spot at the table. She smiled at the attentive, costumed audience. "It's been 13 years since the series finale of Bad Logic, and though I'm very proud of the show, I know some of you have been vocal about your feelings over the finale." The audience chuckled. Garth barely contained an angry growl. "Having said that, I'm here to tell you I've been paying attention. We all have." She indicated the people on either side of her at the table. "We're bringing bad logic back in a big way." The audience erupted in thunderous applause. Garth was shocked by this news. He stared at Cassandra, his eyes wide and jaw dropped. If anything, this news made him even angrier. What good would the show's revival do his mom? She was still dead. "It's too late, bitch," he whispered. "It's far too late." A girl in front of him turned in his direction with a curious look on her face. Garth grinned at her and pretended he hadn't said anything. The girl faced forward once again. Scout and Panzer exited the elevator on the ground floor, and he steered her toward the construction site. Her heart beat painfully in her chest, and she wouldn't have been surprised if the giant could feel the vibrations through her arm. "It's not too late to stop this," she said, knowing it would do no good. She'd seen enough movies to know it was useless, but she could think of nothing else to say. "Shut up," Panzer whispered. "We'll talk more when we get where we're going." They entered the Rigelia wing and walked through a large space filled with partitions and construction equipment. There were 2 construction workers there, and they looked at Scout and Panzer curiously. "You can't be back here," one large man said. The other man, much smaller, followed him. Panzer held a cupped hand to his ear, indicating he couldn't hear through all the noise. The large worker repeated himself, walking closer. Panzer shrugged. Scout could hear the man perfectly, and she realized too late that Panzer was merely drawing him closer. When the construction worker got within reaching distance, Panzer cupped the man's head in his hands and crushed it. Blood poured from his nose, and his eyes popped out of their sockets. After that, Panzer pushed Scout hard toward a wall, where she collided painfully with it. She fell to the floor, stunned, and barely managed to watch Panzer grab the smaller worker and crush him in a bear hug. She heard the man's ribcage collapse. It was a sickening sound. Panzer dropped the man and then turned toward her. He still had the detonator in hand. "Don't go anywhere," he said, and then headed farther in. The small worker lay a few feet away, blood spilling from his mouth. He stared wide-eyed at her as he tried to breathe. His chest was caved in. Then he lay still. After a minute, the work noise ceased. Scout didn't know how many other workers had been in this area, but she did know they were all dead now.